Hello everyone, my name is Andrea and welcome to another astrology update, this time for September. So, we are officially in the eclipse season, and eclipse season happens twice a year, every 6 months. And it's a time period when things simply start to move faster. Lessons need to be learned quicker. We need to move stuff. We need to move forward. We need to release old things. So, eclipse season is a period when things kind of get more intensified. The time gets more intensified. The events start to pop up and happen. We are simply being pushed. Sometimes it can seem like we are being pushed somewhere, but it's actually we are being guided to step forward because eclipses happen where there's a north node and there's a south node, and north node is all about our evolution and where we are going forward, and the south node is about our past and what we are releasing, the old stuff that we need to let go of. So when the sun and the moon uh, come in contact with these points of fate, the north node and the south node, this is when the eclipses happen. And we will have two eclipses this month, and the eclipse season starts 2 weeks before the first eclipse, and lasts until 2 weeks after the second eclipse. So the whole eclipse season is approximately 6 weeks. But the most intense part is the eclipses and the 2 weeks in between them. This is like the eclipse portal when things get really um, intense, for lack of a better word. But intense doesn't always need to mean that it's a bad thing, that it's overwhelming. It's just that things are moving faster. And this is the reason why it's good to know why it's good to be aware that these things are happening. Then we know what we are being guided towards and what is the purpose of this and what we are expected to let go of. So the first eclipse, so I'm going to start obviously with the eclipses, and then I'm just going to go over a few other things that are happening. But the eclipses are the major events of September, so that's why I'm going to put my emphasis there. So the first eclipse is happening on September 7th. It's the total lunar eclipse in Pisces, which means that the sun is currently in Virgo. We are in Virgo season. And when we have a full moon, it's happening in Pisces because Pisces is the opposite sign. So we have this total eclipse, which means when it's a total eclipse as opposed to a partial eclipse, it means the energy is even more felt because a total eclipse means that the either sun or the moon, in this case the moon, and the sun also, are close to the nodes. The further they are from the nodes, the less it's felt, but it's felt just the same. It's just that when it's total eclipse, that means they're close to the nodes. It means the energy of the nodes is more activated. So the total lunar eclipse in Pisces means that it's more of the emphasis of the north node, because that's where the moon is. The moon is joining the north node in Pisces. So this is actually the lesson we are going through collectively, and also if you have this in your natal chart, then you feel this transit more. And nodes go through the sign for 18 months, for a year and a half. So inside that year and a half, we have several series of eclipses, and this is when things kind of start to turn. And so what we are learning collectively with this North Node in Pisces is to embrace our divinity, to establish our spiritual connection, to wake up spiritually, because this is what Pisces represents. And when there's a North Node, we want to embrace and we want to embody the positive aspects of that sign. So the most positive aspects of Pisces is that it's connected to everything. It's a very spiritual, very sensitive sign because it's tapped into the mystical part of the reality. While on the other end, we have Virgo, and Virgo is a very earthly sign. So we have a South Node in Virgo right now, so we are releasing the negative sides of Virgo. And the negative sides of Virgo is over-analyzing, perfectionism, being too attached to the details, being too attached to rigidity, to how things need to be in order to be perfect. And while Virgo also has many beautiful aspects to it, it also has these negative traits that we are now releasing. So we have this axis, the Virgo Pisces axis, is all about the service. So there's a lot of learning about what it means to be in service and who are we actually in service to. So as we are releasing this old idea of service, we are releasing this idea that we need to serve the system, that we need to serve just to make money, that we need to serve, and which leads to our own detriment, that we need to serve and go into burnout. So these are the negative traits that we are releasing because we are stepping into the true service, which is what we are only here to serve is actually the divine path. We are only here to serve God. Every act of our service here is the act of serving something greater than us, and to be the expression of that greatness, to be the expression of our divine self. And this is where the balance comes, because Virgo has the ability to ground this. Virgo knows how to prepare our everyday routines, our structure, how to structure our reality, how to structure our rhythm, our rituals, our routines, so that we are completely equipped, that we are centered, that we are feeling nourished and vital enough, so that we can then channel our divinity. Because if we just go into this other spectrum where it is all about the spiritual, all about the mystical, then we lose the touch with our 3D reality, which is our reality. We lose touch with our body. And so it's about finding this balance between these two archetypes. So we are learning how to find this service that is really a spiritual act, our expression in this world, our business, our offerings, our contributions, our gifts. Everything is just this expression that we are then offering back to God. We are being just a channel for this beauty, for this light to be channeled through. It's not even about us. And this is also another great trait of Pisces, where it can go beyond ego, but also not in a way that we are completely delusional and we are lost and we forget that we have ego and what is the healthy expression of it. But we are here to, go beyond our ego in a way that we can not take ourselves too seriously, but still have enough of it to be able to function in this world. So this is where we are finding this balance. So this total lunar eclipse is also trining Jupiter in Cancer. And Jupiter is also the ruler of this eclipse because Jupiter traditionally rules the Pisces. So we kind of feel this support from Jupiter in Cancer, and we have this opportunity to really step into that future expression of our service, of our offering from something we deeply, deeply cherish, and from a place that we feel abundant, and we can see how abundant we are. And we can see how abundant we are in our emotions and our sensitivity and our spirituality, because this is all connected to the water energy. So these are our greatest gifts, and we can see how these gifts can support us where we are going to step into our service in an even deeper way. So we have this total lunar eclipse, which is kind of like this momentum of, okay, this is where we're going. So I just want to make a little disclaimer, is that when eclipses are happening, we are not working with them in the same way that we can work with other transits, and the same way that we work with the new moon and the full moon, because they are simply too intense and too powerful. I want to stop saying this word intense all the time, because it might sound to some people terrifying, but they're powerful and we cannot really work with them. But it's good to understand what is happening so that we are not resisting too much, because if we are resisting the change that needs to happen, this is where the suffering can occur then, which is unnecessary. And that's why when we are aware of, okay, this is happening, I'm being asked to step forward, I'm being asked to connect to something greater, I'm being asked to connect to my emotions, I'm being asked to see how my emotions are actually of greatest service to this world, how my sensitivity is actually bringing so much gift and so much healing to this world, because this is what is very, very needed right now. So when we have this awareness, we can see that these events that come in, like people come in, situations come in, we might be triggered, we might be pushed to make some decisions, we might be, new opportunities might occur, or some events. And it's important to see them for the good that they are, because the truth is we don't know where they lead. And it is actually in the next 6 months until the next eclipse season that we start to see how this developed. But if you go back through your life, and if you would see, like if you have a journal or a really good memory, then you can see how it was in the eclipse seasons that your life had these sometimes bigger, sometimes smaller twists and turns. And of course, it also depends on your natal chart, if it hits anything in your natal chart. But even if it doesn't, there are still some things that happened during the eclipse season that change the trajectory of your life. and moved it into another direction. This is why I'm always excited about the eclipse season, because I know something's going to happen, and I'm always very, yeah, I'm anticipating it with like delight, because I know that something is coming, something is going to change. I'm always so curious to see what that change is going to be. So it's nothing to be afraid of. I feel like if we are afraid that something is going to happen or that something is going to be too dramatic, this is where we actually create this tension. It's not real tension, but we start to create it because we anticipate that something will be too much or that something will go in a way that we don't want it to go. So the more that we can surrender and be open and be curious, the more we can just appreciate what the eclipse brings, because the eclipse always is taking us where we need to go. It's like the speed line of our evolution, the speed line of karma cleaning and dharma beginning, because it just kind of speeds everything up. So on September 7th, we have this total lunar eclipse, and it's trining Jupiter in Cancer. And on the other end, we have it also, it's opposing Mercury, which is the ruler of the South Node in this case. The South Node is in Virgo right now. So there is kind of this need to pay attention to the details and still be practical about whatever occurs in those days, because with Pisces and also with Jupiter supporting this energy, we can be a bit too out there. We can just feel so like we want to fly and we forget to ground. So this Mercury can kind of bring this tension of pulling us into reality, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, because we want to move forward in practical way, with practical steps. And this is what Virgo is very good at. It's very good at being practical and taking practical steps and understanding how we're going to build what we want to build. But it doesn't mean that we need to release everything that is Virgo. We need to still embrace the positive sides of Virgo. Okay, so the second eclipse is going to be on the 21st of September. And it's going to be at 29 degrees of Virgo. So it's going to be at this end of Virgo. And it's opposing Saturn at the end of Pisces and Neptune at the beginning of Aries. And it's activating this trine that I keep talking about, which is this big event that's happening next year. And this whole year is a preparation for that event. But because we have this solar eclipse that is activating that, and it's a South Node eclipse, it's really about releasing as much as we can so that we are ready to go where we need to go. It's also trining not Jupiter but Uranus in Gemini, and it's also trining Pluto in Aquarius. So all these outer planets are activated, and it's like this beautiful kite formation, which is very auspicious formation in astrology when it happens, and it kind of gives a lot of power. And so it's a very supportive energy, but something needs to go, something needs to be released. So in this eclipse season, we really get to see where we are meant to go, what our resources are, and how our resources are actually our sensitivity and our emotions and our ability to deeply feel, and how we can let go of perfectionism. That's one trait of Virgo that's very good at stopping us from achieving what we want to achieve. So perfectionism, rigidity, being too realistic. So realism is good when it serves us, but when it turns against us because we think we are being realistic, it's actually just our fear speaking and finding evidence that this is not going to work because this, and this. And so we really need to let go of all that and step more into the Pisces energy of understanding that there's so much possibility and that so much is opening up for us right now. And this is the time to let go of the things that are holding us back, and to really find ways that we can be practical, that we can use this Virgo energy so that we tune into beauty, so that we tune into nature, so that we tune into how we want to make our home feel, how we want to make our everyday life feel. You know, when we wake up in the morning, how we have our breakfast, do we have a morning ritual, do we have an evening ritual, do we have an afternoon walk? All these things that feed our spirit so that we can feel settled, so that we can feel nourished on all levels, so that our gifts and what we are here to do can come through. So this is about the eclipses, and eclipses will happen so on the September 7th and September 21st, and we have this 2-week period before and 2-week period after when things are kind of we are still in this energy, but it's mostly between these two eclipses that things kind of feel more dense and more things are happening. So just be aware of what's happening, be aware of what is being asked of you, and don't necessarily try to set intentions the way you do it with the new moon, or release the way you do it with the full moon, but more work with it and be present with what wants to be moved, what wants to come through, what wants to be shaken off, or where you are invited to go, and work with that. Okay. Few other things that are happening this month is that on the 1st of September, Saturn is moving back into Pisces, and Saturn has been in Aries since the end of May, and it gave us this preview of what we are moving into next year in February. In February is when Saturn is going to move back again into Aries, and this is when it's going to conjunct with Neptune, and this is when a whole new reality is starting. So we had this little window of insight of what kind of energy that is. And maybe when Saturn entered Aries, things started to feel a bit heavy or a bit delayed in certain areas of your life that are ruled by Aries in your chart. And this is actually the part of us that is being asked to, we are being asked to dedicate our time, our energy, and to become masters at a certain area of our life, and to become masters by really becoming who we are and being very clear about who we are and honoring that as best way as possible. Really bringing structure, bringing integrity to our own identity. And so now, before we fully commit to that for the next 2 years, from next year onward, now until February, we have an opportunity to really wrap things up, because Saturn was in Pisces for the last 2 years. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So this is where we wrap things up. This is where we grieve. This is where we are bringing things to an end and releasing and surrendering, because there's nothing more to do, because we are getting ready for a new cycle. Because zodiac starts with Aries, and in Aries, like, we are being born again, but before that, everything old has to die. And so Saturn in Pisces is asking us to really let go of everything, to really be precise about what we are releasing, so that we are not trying to still bring some old stuff with us in the next cycle, because that's really not going to work. So the more we can release now, the better, because we are creating more space to be born anew, literally. So this is also a place for us to build a solid spiritual foundation. And what that means is just finding any kind of spiritual connection that is unshakable. Whatever works for us. For some people, that's religion. For some people, it's creativity. For some people, it's walking in nature every day. For some people, it's mantras. For some people, it's meditation. But we need to have structure around it, because if we are not engaging intentionally with the spiritual realm, it's so easy, especially now, to get distracted and to start believing that this is the only possibility. And now, more than ever, it's important to have this understanding of how much more is possible, how much more is out there, because we are just living this very limited version of reality, and the universe, the divine, is opening us up to this infinite possibility of everything that is happening. So it's up to us to really see this and to be constantly aware of it, so that when things get dark, when we feel insecure, when fear surfaces up, we will get shaken. But there needs to be something that, no matter what, we cannot be shaken to that core. Like, that core needs to shine bright. And this is our assignment. Nobody can do this for us, but this is our assignment, to always have this spark, and to know that that is the truth, and everything else is just this illusion of this game of life, that we need to think that things get dark, that we need to see that things feel impossible, and then we still choose the light. We still choose to we choose to love, we choose to forgive, we choose to go beyond it. It's our choice, and this is our choice of free will that we can then we get to play with it. So, and this is our greatest power. And so this is our opportunity. If we haven't done this so far, these 5.5 months, we have the opportunity to really establish that spiritual connection, to really, really work with that, and to make it our number one priority, so that everything that we build from it, nothing can be shaken, because we know this core is our brightest light, and it's always there, never leaving us. My camera cut me off, but that's pretty much it. These are the main points of September. We do have autumn equinox happening on September 22nd. when we are stepping into Libra season, we are stepping into the second half of the year. We have the same amount of daylight and nighttime on that day, and we are going into the winter time of the year in the northern hemisphere. So there's a lot of shifting energy in September, and we are really getting this clarity of what needs to go, where we are being asked to move forward, what is this path that we are embarking upon. And so this is our time to really pay attention and to work with this energy of the eclipses so that we can make the best out of it. And everything is really supportive of us becoming our best version. So we just need to take the call and do what we have to do. So I hope this serves you as always, and I'll see you next month. Thank you for watching. Ciao.